Good afternoon, everybody. I wanted to touch base with you. I've just finished grading your Learning Assignment 3 exercise. Um, I have some concerns, and so let's talk just a little bit here. So, when you look at your scoring and the feedback that you've given, um, of course, what we're taking from is the Module 5. Of course, this had to do with community mobilization and also organization and systems change. And to be honest, I think this is, if it makes you feel any better, the folks for the spring semester also had a difficult time with this. So the information coming there regarding organizational systems change, I think you can see what I'm looking at here. So this is what we would like for you to take a look at. And of course, your textbook does a much better job of explaining this. And so maybe some of you all had some difficulty because you were simply going off the slides. Again, the textbook is not hard. I would like for you, if you had some difficulty with that, beginning on page 72, you can see exactly what we're talking about, organization and systems of change, and it goes all the way over to the top of page 75. So it's not big reading, but so some of your scoring had to come from the fact that you were asked to give us an evidence-based intervention. And so maybe you did that, but if you didn't reference it, if you didn't cite the study itself, if you didn't give enough detail about that, I really had a hard time just kind of seeing through that. So an evidence-based intervention was what we were asking you to kind of reference. And then, of course, from that, you were going to construct an intervention based upon that and based upon some of the tenets of organizational change. And so really what we're kind of looking at here, a lot of that is briefly discussed here. For those of you who did really well, and I'm thinking right off the bat, Phoebe did really well, Summer did very well, I think Sarah and Austin did very well. You all referenced exactly what we were looking for here. So it comes from organizational development. It's not a bad idea to give a little bit of background on that. And, you could say that it's a system. It's also a philosophy and an approach. And really some of the things that I was looking for was either that staged process where you unfreeze, you have movement, and then you refreeze. And so by simply just mentioning that doesn't really give us everything that we're looking for. Tell me exactly what that would look like for your intervention. And then so you've got unsatisfied demand, where you could look at determinations of alternatives, you could look at decisions, approaches, and then institutionalization of change. Let me go back here to something I wanted to and even there are other ideas such as organizational development. There is also the determinations of alternatives. There is where's the other one? You could even talk about organizational culture. There were several things that you could reference. And if you didn't reference those, or if I didn't see those in that, I was having a hard time there. You could talk about codes of behavior. You could talk about other related standards. And for some of and again, this is a difficult process because this isn't one of those things that comes easily because one size doesn't fit all, because each organization is going to be different. So the approach that you would want to take is also going to be different. So I'm going to do something I don't regularly do, and I do this because I want this to be a learning moment, because I think this is important for you to, I want you to get this. Because since a lot of you all are going to be working within organizations, or and this may be the actual way that you do some of your health-related interventions and programming, it's important that we kind of think through this. So your grades are there. I've given you feedback. I'm going to allow you, several of you did really well, and so I mean, you did fine, but if I'm going to allow If I'm going to allow people who didn't do well to do a rewrite and resubmit, I need to do that for everybody. That's only fair. So you can see what's listed out there. Look at the critiques. Look back at this organizational change. Look at what is being offered there. Be more explicit in what you're saying. Some of you didn't list any references. As a graduate student, that's just not going to cut it. The textbook can be used. I would encourage you to go outside the textbook and look for other studies. Some of you did really well with that. We want you to be secure and we want you to feel good. And we'd like you to use sources that are not so much as a secondary source of information. We're looking for a primary source of information. So we're looking for, official government websites. We're looking for peer-reviewed literature. We're looking for medical reports, those kinds of things, because that you can feel pretty confident about. Some of these other places where you found information, I mean, it's okay, but it's not the best. And so we would like you to do well. Some of you are still having some struggles with APA. Please work on that, because of course that also leads into your solution paper. By the way, your third part of your paper is due very soon, Friday, right? I think. Make sure that you are also submitting your logic model. Make sure that you're only submitting the third part of your paper, which is your intervention. Keep these things separate. It makes it easier for grading. It makes it easier for Turnitin. And make sure that the only references that you're also including are the ones that you're using for this third thing. I'm looking forward to looking at these. I'm hoping everybody got the message yesterday via email that we are not. It looks like that the people who have responded so far are okay with us not doing learning activity 4. But I'm going to allow a redo. I think I'll leave. Let's leave it up until I'll leave it open and up until Monday if you want to do a rewrite of this learning assignment 3. And then I'll take a look at it, okay? All right. Hope everybody has a good week.